Report on the altercation in Parliament submitted to the Speaker. Report recommends disciplinary action against 2 parliamentarians.
President emphasises the responsibility of MPs to protect the integrity of Parliament.
Search and rescue continues to locate the bearer reported missing following the landslide in Balangoda.
CID questions the DIG over the Wasim Tajuddin homicide.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News live on Newsfirst. We're coming to you from our studios here in Colombo. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening, I'm Shah Rampad. Let's take a look at the stories in detail.
President Maithripala Sirisena today emphasised on protecting the integrity of Parliament. The President made these remarks in Horana.
The newly constructed auditorium of Royal College, Horana, was declared open today by President Maithripala Sirisena. Addressing the gathering, the President commented on the incident that took place in Parliament yesterday.
Following the incident that transpired in Parliament, the question that arises is, can we speak about humanity and decency? There is an idiom on this as well. 1989 was a period where many such incidents took place. I have never attacked anyone. However, I had to deal with blows in Parliament. I recall the manner in which Vasudeva Nanakar was dragged down from the Speaker's chair by Gamini Lokuge. I was a simple witness to this, and at once an MP from the government came to me and attacked me. 6 years later, I was appointed as a minister, and the person who attacked me came in search of me to my ministry for a certain purpose. I gave him top priority and ensured that the task was fulfilled. That individual also worked tirelessly during the recent elections to elect me as the president. All 225 parliamentarians have a responsibility to protect the integrity and honour of Parliament and the parliamentarians.
The committee which probed the altercation which broke out in Parliament yesterday has recommended to the Speaker that stern action be taken against 2 parliamentarians involved in the incident. The incident was probed by a committee headed by the Deputy Speaker.
The altercation took place when Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca was responding to a question raised by opposition parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena regarding the former president's security. The incident left United National Party parliamentarian Sandit Samarasinghe injured and prompted the Speaker to postpone parliamentary sessions for today while appointing a committee to investigate the altercation. The committee, comprising of Deputy Speaker Thiranga Sumathipala and Deputy Chairman of Committees MP Selvam Adekalanathan, submitted the report to the Speaker with several recommendations.
We made a recommendation to the Speaker. This violation of the standing orders of the Parliament, as well as the behaviour of the members and their respective reaction and overreaction, as well as fighting in the middle of the chamber, is totally not acceptable from the Parliament point of view. Therefore, take stern action against the 2 members whom we have named. And on top of that, we have made a recommendation to the Speaker. The party leaders of the respective parties should take proper action against them within their parties to make sure this kind of behaviour will not happen again. So we totally condemn this, and we should take every possible action to prevent this kind of things happening in the future.
A preliminary report on this incident was handed over to me. I would like to inform that I have decided to convene a meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Affairs at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to consider this report and what measures should be taken in the future.
Meanwhile, MP Sandit Samarasinghe, who sustained injuries in yesterday's altercation, left the National Hospital today. Police recorded a statement from the parliamentarian this afternoon on the incident.
There is a problem with my eye. I have been asked to come to the eye clinic for a checkup in 2 weeks' time. I still have some pain in my arm. We as new parliamentarians were disappointed to see the behaviour of senior parliamentarians like Dinesh Gunawardena. They should set a precedent to the country, MPs and everyone. But what they are carrying on is politics solely based on hate.
Various views were expressed today on yesterday's altercation in Parliament.
When leader of the joint opposition Dinesh Gunawardena posed a question at the Prime Minister in a very democratic manner, the task of arguing and mudslinging at the fact that former Chief of Command Mahinda Rajapaksa should not be provided with security was vested upon Sarath Fonseca. So from the time Fonseca commenced his speech, you could tell it was well prepared. Experienced parliamentarians know very well that the joint opposition raises its objection when something against parliamentary traditions takes place. The UNP MPs are exaggerating a retaliation as an attack by hospitalizing people and engraving the joint opposition as a group of thugs. So what happened to the main issue? The joint opposition was well prepared to disrupt parliamentary proceedings yesterday and create a chaotic situation in Parliament. Because it was premeditated, they seized the opportunity by giving the initial go to create an unfortunate situation despite the fact that the Speaker saying an opportunity would be given. We know that the joint opposition was in a very helpless situation yesterday because all the members of the joint opposition have to do everything in the party by themselves and are all hovering around one family. So the entire country saw how these people had fallen to such a situation by the 1st of May. All of us in Parliament today are facing the results of the current Prime Minister, who has turned into a joker which does not suit his post in the current Parliament. If the Prime Minister can hand over the position of Prime Minister to Sarath Fonseca, we as the joint opposition have no issue with it. We say to the Prime Minister that if he cannot do it, please give it to Sarath Fonseca and go home. They used profanity and challenged Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca for a fight. This is just like a fight at the village junction. If someone says something about Mahinda Rajapaksa, these people get fired up. Now what they're trying to do is to take power by hook or by crook. This is why this has happened. This is the unfortunate result of a journey to come into power to prevent themselves of the rape and fraud they've committed. This is the first time in parliamentary history a brawl of such nature has broken out, where MPs exchange blows causing a spill of blood. We should be ashamed of this. The public representative who is elected to the place where policies are made is the recipient of an honorary award. He is not a thug, a drug addict, nor alcoholic. Therefore, we strongly condemn this incident. They gave their final battle in Parliament with the intention of causing violence by at least breaking someone's neck. Now they are saying that it was Tevara Perma who attacked them. And he said that if he had attacked someone, that person would end up in hospital. I do not believe that they started the unrest. What they tried to do was to hurt someone before it started. So can we let this happen in the country? These set of MPs whose urgency is increasing by the day are causing various problems by screaming and throwing fists just for the sake of one person. The food in Parliament tastes good, so they eat that. They consume the blood of the public, and when the public is taxed, they make off with that as well. The only thing they cannot eat is the feces of the public. They have eaten everything they could eat. They would eat the people's feces too very soon if they can. We should all be held responsible here. Those who gave nominations, those who brought persons into Parliament by millions of preferential votes, as well as the public, should be held responsible for this. I hope that at the local government elections, persons who do not use profanity and do not create brawls will be elected to provincial councils, urban councils and Parliament.
The opposition alleged today that the Prime Minister had not provided answers to questions that were raised in Parliament. Following are excerpts from the debate that took place in Parliament.
I raised a question of national importance. We reached an agreement to make provisions for a question per month. A decision was made on the 5th of last month that when a question was directed to the Prime Minister, it must be provided before noon on Friday. We were not aware of that decision and we directed 2 questions. Both questions have not been forwarded to the Prime Minister's office. We handed over the question before noon yesterday. The question was the loan amount obtained from the International Monetary Fund and the duration of the loan.
I cannot provide an answer on the matter of another ministry in 24 hours.
It is wrong to provide excuses when a question is raised. Let us know if this needs to be done or not. The question I raised does not require time to answer. When was the loan amount agreed with the IMF? What is the duration? What are the conditions that were made? The Prime Minister can provide an answer to this. He does not need to consult anyone else. The Prime Minister and Minister Manik Samaravikrama attended the discussions. Therefore, can you provide an answer?
Bandula Gunawardena, you two submitted your question only yesterday. It is difficult for him to provide answers expeditiously. Let's solve this matter through dialogue.
The Criminal Investigations Department today recorded a statement from a Deputy Inspector General of Police over the Wasim Tajuddin homicide.
The CID today recorded a statement from DIG Motor Traffic Amarsiri Senaratna. The former officer in charge of the Narayanpeta Police Crimes Division, Sumit Champika Pereira, was previously arrested over the homicide and is currently in remand custody.
Clarity was made on government loans at the cabinet media briefing convened today.
ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදලේ දෙපැත්තෙම නිලධාරී ගුසුමකට අත්සන් කරලා තියෙනවා.
The International Monetary Fund reached a staff level agreement with Sri Lanka. Once that agreement was reached, the share market saw gains. The staff level agreement with Sri Lanka was for $1.5 billion US. Similarly, we will receive $650 million US through bilateral and trilateral agreements. We will have a total of $2.2 billion US. After June, we will receive the aid and loans from the World Bank and then from the Asian Development Bank. When the President heads to Japan, we will receive more loans and aid. We will also receive a loan from Korea. With all this taking place, the businessmen in the country can have faith as the shares in the stock market will make gains.
A search and rescue is still underway in Pambahinna Balangoda to locate the Thera from Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya who was reported missing after a landslide in the Parihangala mountain. The Sri Lanka Army, the local police and aided residents are conducting the search.
The Parihangala mountain in Pambahinna gave way last evening. The area where the landslide took place is not more than 2.5 kilometers away from the Pambahinna town. Rocks and earth that broke loose as a result of the landslide buried the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya, which is located on the mountain. A search and rescue was launched after there were reports that a Venerable Panadure Anomadasitero, who was residing at the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya, had fallen victim to the landslide. Last night, a Newsfirst team visited the location and remained there as rescue teams were only able to move to the area where the landslide struck this morning. Our team reported that a half-an-acre area of land is buried under mountain rock with a radius of 25 feet. The gap between the cave in which the Thera was residing and the drip ledge was around 35 feet in height, and following the landslide, that gap had reduced to 10 feet.
Currently, I'm in the Niyandagala area where the landslide occurred last evening. It was reported that the landslide had occurred due to the rainfall that took place yesterday. Due to the soil that had covered the area after the landslide, I'm right now 20 feet above the actual ground where the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya was located. When Newsfirst made inquiries from the officials, they stated that a major disaster was prevented due to this cave, which is located on top of the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya.
We suspect that the Thero is inside because we found pieces of the bunds that were there, the temporary bunds. We believe that as a result of the pressure of the landslide, the bund has been pushed onto the massive embankment that you can see behind me.
This was how the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya looked like before the landslide. Venerable Panadure Anomadasitera had been residing in the Niyandagala Aranya Senasanaya for over 12 years.
We witnessed from the junction how the mountain gave way. The smell of gunpowder was experienced as the rocks clashed onto each other.
Was it you who brought the arms the previous day?
I was to come, but the Thero asked me not to.
In November 2002, the Puak Gahawala mountain, located in close proximity, suffered a landslide.
There was a landslide just on the other side. 7 lives were lost.
The National Building Research Organization says it will commence an investigation into the landslide. Director of the Landslide Research and Risk Management Division of the MBRO, RMS Bandara says that people residing on the foot of the mountain have been instructed to evacuate. Our correspondent reports that around 30 families from both the Horagas Mulla and Niyadagala villages located below the landslide area have been affected.
කිලෝමීටර් එකහමාරක් දෙකක් ඉහළ ප්‍රදේශයේ තියෙන ඉතා අධික බෑවුම් ප්‍රදේශයකින් තමයි මේ නාය ආරම්භ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
The landslide began at a high elevation of a kilometer or two in an area with a huge slope. If heavy rains are experienced, we can see that the debris will flow down. If this landslide becomes active, it will go through the bridge. We urge the people commuting through the bridge and the people living in the lowlands to be vigilant. The water that is flowing could be blocked as a result of the embankments, and an artificial pond could be created. Then the bund might break and the water could again flow down.
බැම්ම ගැලවිලා පහළට පසුයි වතුරයි ගලාගෙන එන්න පුළුවන්. අන්නේ පිපිරීම සමහරට මාජාන්තරවලට ඇහෙන්න පුළුවන්.
In more local news, the Mount Lavinia police discovered a stockpile of cocaine from a garden in Ihalagama, Ragama today.
1,206 grams of cocaine was discovered from a garden located down Gamunamawata in Ihalagama, Ragama. The discovery of the stockpile of cocaine, worth around 20 million rupees, was made after the OIC of Mount Lavinia, Rohan Pushpakumara, was given a tip-off. Police said that the stockpile of cocaine was discovered in the garden next to the house where 8 Nigerians lived before their arrest on the 2nd of May with 220 grams of cocaine.
There
were 2 sacks exposed. The bags had been pulled out by animals. When I took a closer look, there were more sacks. There was someone I knew who worked in the Narcotics Bureau. I informed her and she dispatched 2 senior officers last night. No arrests have been made regarding the incident, and the cocaine is under the custody of the Police Narcotics Bureau.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Saleh, speaking to reporters in Colombo, expressed the following views.
The government is yet to uncover any large-scale act of fraud and theft. What we are saying is that these are revealed in the media. We are not afraid of anyone. There is a charge against one of selling the weapons of the country to terrorists. He is being sought through the Interpol. There is an arrest warrant against him. How has he left Ukraine? However, from Ukraine he had told Mahinda Rajapaksa and GL Piris to come to Thailand. How did he come to Thailand? How did Udayanga Weeratunga come to Thailand? Why didn't the Sri Lanka police contact the Thai police and call for his arrest? We have to question, under what passport did Udayanga Weeratunga travel to Thailand? Is Russia behind this? Has he been issued a Russian passport? We are not sure whether he is being given such a treatment because he wrote a book in Russian on the malpractices committed by Mahinda Rajapaksa in this country. Time is running out. We make the request to arrest those who need to be arrested despite the time that is taken to do the work.
In a letter addressed to the President, former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Chandra Jayaratne, calls for the maintaining of public confidence in good governance in the face of perpetrated continuing malpractices in bond issues.
Chandra Jayaratne notes there is a strong public perception that long-dated bond issues in 2016 are also riddled with continuing bad governance practices. He adds that these include facilitation of interests of third parties via information leakages and questionable collusive transactions by managers in state-controlled entities. The letter notes that these deficiencies in ethical conduct and professional integrity are believed to have resulted in avoidable losses to the state, state institutions, the public at large and stakeholders of institutions such as the Employees Provident Fund. In the light of above, Chandra Jayaratne calls to appoint a presidential commission with terms of reference to review the issuances by the Central Bank of bonds of duration 4 years or longer during the period of 1st of January 2015 to the 30th of April 2016. He also calls to appoint a panel of professionals with integrity, in-depth practical knowledge, capability and experience in treasury management, bond market operations, fund management and other relevant fields to advise the Presidential Commission on all aspects of their investigation and also on change management processes, enhancing controls and compliance mechanisms. He requests the President to issue executive instructions to the Inspector General of Police and the Bribery Commissioner to begin inquiries to ascertain whether any financial crimes or acts of corruption have taken place in respect of the Treasury bond auctions of the 27th of February 2015, 8th of January 2016, 5th February 2016, 29th March 2016 and 31st March 2016.
The increase of the value-added tax or VAT by 4% from the 2nd of this month is being discussed widely in the country. The government notes that these tax amendments will not gravely impact the public. However, the opposition alleges that this is an additional burden to the general public.
Starting Monday, the value-added tax, which was at 11%, was increased to 15%. Since VAT is imposed on retail and wholesale trade, the government decided not to impose VAT on 37 goods to minimize the impact it would have on the general public. Thereby, VAT was imposed on onions, potatoes, dal, gram, sugar, dried chili, canned fish, dried fish and several other essential consumer goods. As the VAT concessions on supply of telecommunication services, import or supply of telecommunication equipment or machinery, high-tech equipment including copper cables for telecom industry and the supply of healthcare services was removed, prices in those sectors increased. VAT will also be imposed on the supply of goods or services to any specified projects other than housing projects. In addition to VAT, the change in the national building tax has also affected many industries.
Retail and wholesale trade with a turnover of more than 12 million rupees will come under VAT. For a day, the generated income would be 33,334 rupees. 33,334 rupees of income generated by any food outlet, restaurant or any other shop is considered a small amount. Everyone must pay taxes. Some might even shut down their shops. The tax will be a burden that covers all the sectors. According to the way it is mentioned, if a patient purchases medicine from a hospital or gets admitted to a hospital, VAT will be charged on the whole package, including medicine. If medicine is to be exempt from the VAT, it has to be purchased separately from the pharmacy. But if it is purchased from the hospital itself, then VAT will be charged.
When we collect tax revenue, we have three sources. One is the customs, second is the inland revenue, third is the excise department. 87.5% of the total state revenue is generated through those three institutions. The revenue from the other institutions are very minor. The term for this is leakage. If there is a drop of 10%, that equals to a loss of 110 billion rupees. So a decision was taken in Parliament by the Public Accounts Committee that we need to reduce this. It needs to be mentioned that this is a joint effort being made by all parties.
Of the development plans and future development plans of the Ministry of Housing and Construction. Subject Minister Sajid Premadasa announced that the 5th Udagammana village will be declared open on Saturday under the name Dayapura.
In addition to the 38 Udagammana villages that we launched last year, we hope to undertake another 200 such villages under the leadership, guidance and strength of the President Maithripala Sirisena and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to resolve the housing issue of those who are facing a problem with no houses to live in. The Udagammana village programs will be more stronger under this. The Minister also commented on the incident that transpired in Parliament yesterday. The government of good governance ended the era of terror on the 8th of January 2015. Everyone has the freedom to express their views in Parliament. I am disappointed that members of certain factions dragged democracy to the mouth of destruction yesterday. The actions against the group from the joint destruction can be seen as one carried out against democracy.
Several significant cases were heard before court today.
The former ASP of the Ambilipitiya Police, DWC Dharmaratna, has been further remanded until the 18th of May. This decision was reached when the case pertaining to a brawl which ensued during a party in Ambilipitiya involving the Ambilipitiya Police resulted in the death of a youth was taken up before the Ambilipitiya Additional Magistrate today. The Additional Magistrate stated that the second post-mortem report has been received. The lawyers then pointed out the discrepancies between the first and second reports on the investigations of the youth's death. The CID informed the magistrate that further measures in relation to the investigation are to be taken based on instructions from the Attorney General. The next hearing is scheduled to take place on the 18th of this month. The case filed against former Minister of Mass Media Keheli Rambukwela and two others at the Colombo Magistrates Court was postponed until the 9th of September. The case was postponed when it was taken up before Colombo Chief Magistrate Gihan Pilapitiya as the attorney at law representing the former minister failed to appear at the hearing. The respondents have been charged with allegedly purchasing a stock of GI pipes causing loss to the Sri Lanka Rupawahini Corporation. The case filed requesting for an order preventing political activities and trade union activities from being carried out at the Abhayarama Viharaya was taken up at the Colombo District Court today. Court ordered the respondents to forward preliminary objections on the 18th of May.
Tamil National Alliance parliamentarian Selvam Adaikalanadan expressed the following views today.
Ex-LTTE members who have been rehabilitated are being arrested once again. It should be said as to why they are being arrested. When such arrests are made, our people get scared. If the arresting of suspicious individuals continue, the government has to inform the parliament about it.
And finally, in sports, Sri Lankan captain Angelo Matthews says the aim is to conclude the away series against England on a high despite challenges posed by the weather. Chairman of selectors Sanat Jayasuriya says that the team will perform responsibly.
The Sri Lankan national squad left for England for a 3-match test series. Prior to the departure, religious observances were held at Sri Lanka Cricket Board.
We practiced during the mornings on pitches which were prepared similar to the ones in England. Only the weather would pose a challenge to us. We face different conditions all the time, but we always go for the game with a winning mentality. We did everything we can and I trust the team would perform well.
As far as our batting group, having lost a couple of senior players, obviously there's some new young guns that have come in. They've worked extremely well and extremely hard just recently in the last few weeks. Of course, it's going to be a huge mental challenge for them. The batting group, it's going to be a challenge, but I think just looking at what they've shown us, they're certainly up for the challenge.
We are going with a very young team. They know what is required from them. The level of experience may be low. They are going on this tour after all the necessary preparations here in the country. We must get accustomed to the pitch condition there. It will take some time. Our players have to give their fullest strength to make this tour a success.
The first test between the two countries will be played on the 19th of this month at Leeds. Sri Lanka will play 2 warm-up matches prior to the first test. Sri Lanka ranks 7th in test rankings while England is at 4th. Dhananjaya De Silva and Dasun Chanaka will represent Sri Lanka as debutants.
And that is a wrap of primetime news here on News First. For the News First team, I am Shahin Durangpati.
And I'm Maina Bongzo. Thank you for joining us. Good night.